evening, everybody. It's always a pleasure to be here. I think this is my second or third time here. And it's always great to be together in a house of prayer, in a house of learning, which is our Spiritist centers. And I'd like to thank my friend Livia, she's not here, for the opportunity also for me to come and join all of you. So tonight we're going to talk about personal growth in times of trouble. I should be aiming that way, right? To anybody who understands about technology here? So this is growth in time of trouble. It's a little trouble, but it's how we learn. We learn. So we have on question 166 of the Spirit's book, Kardec asks the spirits, how does the soul, and he means us, that has not achieved perfection during corporeal life achieve purification? And the answer is by experiencing the trial of a new physical existence. So the question, how do we living on this earth in this incarnation, if we have not attained the perfection during the time that we stay here on earth and we return to spirit life, not purified yet, so how then do we attain perfection? And very short, powerful answer. By going back there and trying again. And doing more. And trying again. And we understand, we learn from Spiritism, and we see that in spiritual communication, we see a lot of that in experiences, near-death experience, and that corroborates exactly what the Spirit tells us what we will do when we return from physical life to a spirit life. So one of the first things, as long as, or by the time that we gain lucidity, is that we are going to review our lives. We are going to analyze and study what we have done in that life that we just finished, and we're going to see what we learned. We're going to see what we didn't learn, and we're going to see what we still need to do in order to make our progress towards perfection. So after we do that, on our own accord, on our own desire to evolve, and also supported by the spirits that help us along our journeys, we are then going to decide to return, program a new existence with the sole purpose of doing all that we have seen that we still need to do in order to advance. So we come back. And this is exactly why each one of us here tonight, every human being on this earth is here for, to progress. Because most of us, not every soul, every spirit that reincarnates know exactly why they're here. Most do not. They come and they live for as long as they're going to stay here, be it a month or 100 years, and sometimes they leave. There's always progression on our incarnate life. We always learn something. We never recede or go back to the previous state, because we are progressing spirits. We might stagnate. We might waste a whole incarnation if we don't do anything to advance, but we don't go back. We either stay the same or we progress. In life on earth, and I'll tell you because I know this, is a boot camp for the soul. It is here that we come to feel pain, to feel sorrow, because the nature of this earth, this planet, a planet of trials and tribulations, is exactly this one. This is the purpose. So we come here, there is suffering, there is physical suffering, there is emotional suffering, there is moral suffering, all kinds of suffering we find here on this earth. And the nature of the earth is exactly what we need in order to progress. Because here we do the hard work. Because here we do the exercise that we need to do in order to advance, in order to fulfill all the plans that we made before we came here. And that plan is to get better and better. So for us as spiritists, I believe that is extremely important that we have this knowledge always fresh on our mind, on the decisions that we're going to make, on what we're going to do in our lives. Having all this always clear on our minds, that we decided to come back to this life in a physical body, in this reincarnation or new incarnation, because we decided we wanted to progress. We wanted to get better. Now we have this idea very fresh, very clear in our minds before we reincarnate. And we can see the whole future, everything that we're going to do, we can see it in that state of being, without the physical body, without a physical brain. But once we take a physical body, especially we're going to help form one, and then we're going to be, as a mortal spirit, with all powerhouse of knowledge that we have, we're going to have an instrument that is very limited. And that instrument is the physical body, and that instrument is the physical brain. But that's exactly what we need in order for us to do the job that we came here to do during the time that we're going to stay here on this earth. So as we go through all these troubles and tribulations in this boot camp for the soul that is earth, the harder we train, the stronger we get. And most of the training, most of the hard job that we do comes in times of trouble, times that we're going to be tested. At one moment or another, there is going to be that call. Lucky or deserving those who go through this life smoothly, without much pain, without much suffering, which is a sign of already being advanced, or in a state of advancement that they come here for some reason, and that is not to experience too much of physical pain. Some we're going to experience. Some are, most of them are bearable, and we're going to run our lives smoothly and be happy most of the times because we acquired that through our own efforts. Because we know that we live, there are laws that regulate the universe and our lives. One of them is the law of cause and effect. So whatever we do, whatever action we take or inaction, that if we don't take anything, we don't do anything, there is a reaction, there is a result, there is a consequence that's going to be in synchrony with the cause that manifested it. So the better we do, the more noble that we are, the more advanced we are as a soul, the good that we do, the kindness that we share, the love that we spread throughout our existence, we're going to be receiving consequences, and those are pleasant consequences. Because we are working in accordance, following divine laws, therefore we're going to receive all the good that is naturally a consequence of that. If we do the opposite, obviously the result is not going to be that pleasant. Or sometimes we see people doing bad all their lives, and we see that their life is not that much troublesome. But it will catch up, if not in this life, in another life. And sometimes we do great here. We are the best people that the world could find or have. And everything that we do goes wrong. And there's a lot of suffering that we don't understand why. Why all these bad things happen to me if I am a good person? We might have been a good person here, and that's excellent, that's what we're here for, but maybe the bill is coming from our past deaths, in past lives. So it's going to catch up with us. But when we understand, as we spiritists should, because we learn, we study all of this, first, our being immortal. First, knowing that everything that's happening to us here on this earth is fleeting, is passing, and passing very fast. And that the better we support everything that happens to us, and the more we grow with the experience that we have, the better for us. Because we are working towards, we're helping foster our progress. And that even if there is a lot of trouble on this life, there is going to be a moment that we're going to start this clean slate. All our debts will be paid. And then from that point on, everything will be much easier. So life has a way to put us in the right direction every time that we sort of sway from the path, the growing path, the evolving path that we decided to come here to follow. So sometimes we snooze. We take naps in our spiritual evolution. Sometimes it's just the short ones, a short snooze, a short nap. But we're going to be awakened. Somehow, there's going to be something that is going to shake us awake from this existential snoozing, existential nap. And normally, it is something that is going to make you question why that is happening to you. So that is the moment that could be the first time that we're going to be asking those questions. Because we live our lives, most of it, concerned, and that's normal, in maintaining our physical body, our physical health, and our safety, and that of the people that we're responsible for, our loved ones. And that is something that's necessary, otherwise the body will die, no nourishment, no life. So sometimes we spend too much time concerned with the physical needs and all the physical pleasures. And we forget, even if it's not because we wanted it, we forget the spiritual side, the moral side. And that is something that we also have to take into consideration. We need to work on that. And when we go away from that path, something will happen for our own good to put us back on track. And we have here in question 783, the Spirit's book, Kardec asks, does the improvement of humanity always happen slowly? And they reply, the Spirits reply, there is a regular, slow progress that occurs naturally, even if we don't do anything. Just the fact of being here, the fact of improving our intelligence by learning different skills, for instance, or going to school and acquiring some kind of intellectual knowledge. Just by doing that, we are already growing automatically without much effort. It's the nature of earthly life. We're learning. But when a population does not advance quickly enough, God sends from time to time a physical or moral shock that hastens its transformation, something that's going to transform. In this case, he's talking about a population in general. So there are the large-scale shocks, as we're going to see, and then there's those that apply to whole communities or countries or continents, and then there is the small-scale ones that reach us as individual. And we can see that in history easily. And we see huge events that were calamities. We see the Black Plague in Europe in the late 1400s, 1300s, early 1400s. The Black Plague started in Asia and killed about 80, historians don't know for sure, 80 million to 200 million people in Europe, mostly in Europe. At a time that Europe was overcrowded, too many people, not enough work. A system of government, or a system, or economic system, a system of government that was failing, outdated, the feudal system. And there was a lot of ignorance because a lot of people, not too much schooling. And all those people were in the system was hindering progress. So that was one of the big shocks that transformed Europe. So when all that people in the regardless age, obviously the most unhealthy, those who had the least levels of hygiene, the feeble ones, children, old people, they were the ones that died by the hordes, a lot. So we see, if we're looking at it, we see all those people, and they would die, they would just drop, walking in the street and piled up on one another. We'd see that there was a shocking calamity. And we'd question the kindness and the justice of God. Why all those people? And we have that very clearly from the spirits, that what we see that as a calamity. We see only the small picture. We don't see the big picture because we analyze us and humanity in the physical sense only physically. But that has a higher purpose. That none of those spirits whose bodies died from the plague died. They survived. It was a mass recycling of souls. So they finished, they suffered, and there was a lot of suffering. What they had to suffer here, learned what they had to learn, then finished. And they dropped dead, the bodies, and they returned to a spiritual life. Recycling, learning, getting ready, resting, coming back. So all those things that happened and that we saw as a calamity, as a disaster, a human disaster, brought in, ushered in a whole new level of existence. The Renaissance of Italy and Europe. Science. Human history has never seen such a big leap in culture, intellectuality, science, arts, literature, as the time that the Renaissance brought. Finished all the feudal system of economy and brought in a whole new system, modern, more modern, better, newer. And all those people who reincarnated, mostly those that had gone back during the plague, came back also to do their share in that improvement. They were already better. They were already improved, and they came to help humanity improve, just as we are doing now, just as our children are doing now. So as one person die, or two people die every second almost, 4 are reborn, recycled, better. So all those tragedies that we see in human history, in nature, and that goes back to since the beginning of the formation, since the formation of the earth, that we see a calamity, a chaos, and then we see improvement. Same thing happens during the both world wars, first and second. Failing economic system, government systems, needing more recycling of souls to bring in a new era of development. So humanity or a population during those periods were not evolving, progressing quickly enough. So something had to come in order to shake them awake, or in this case, a whole society, and bring in something totally new that would help humanity and us in it advance, evolve. Those are the large-scale ones that can reshape, can recycle, can make better whole populations. Then we have the small ones, the personal ones, situations that might or might not visit us sometimes in our lives. something that gets us out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we get too lazy. And we're taking that existential nap. But we need to do better. We need to improve, or we need to question why or who we are, what we're doing here, and what is life for, or what is it good for. Something that makes us ask those questions. And I have some, and these are mostly like the 4 most common ones that can be used to awaken people and put them in a new direction of improvement. In the beginning, it's painful. It hurts when it is happening. But if we understand those upheavals, and if we make efforts to look for answers, to see why, and take that time to review our lives, to analyze what we're doing, what we have been doing, it could put us in a whole new trail of progress, something that it's going to make us do better than we were doing. At least analyze our priorities, what we had been doing so far, or why this happened to me. And then when we are serious enough, and when we work hard enough to find those questions, to find those answers, they will come. And that will make us better. And I'll tell you for sure, because I have been through 3 of those. And I know that they could be useful for our development. So we have divorce, serious illness, loss of a loved one, financial loss. Those 2, the last 2 ones, they made me review my life completely. And I was so crazy trying to find the answers because I wanted to understand, especially the last one, the financial loss, broke. $200 in my pocket, and with a daughter and wife. And I had a business that failed. And I was living in Brazil at that time. And I had a business there. I was living there because my wife had not gotten her visa yet to come here. I was an American citizen even back then. And I had to stay there with them. And then the business thrived for 3 years, then failed just like that. And then I came here with $200 in the Bible. I wasn't a spiritist yet. And one nagging question, why is this happening to me? So, and I came here to Orlando. I started coming in Orlando in 1982. This was my second hometown, where I lived the longest. So all we see, and I used to be a tour guide, all those places that we see there, Universal Studios, they were all orange fields. And 30 years ago at this time, now it's summer, but winter, we'd see those beautiful oranges blooming, and then winter came. It was cold in here. It was cold, and I saw a lot of orange die. And there's a whole new thing. And then I followed the news. And there's a lot of orange trees here, a lot, everywhere all the way down to Lakeland. And then the winter came, and I remember them, what they did when it was very cold, and it was it was icy in the morning. And they try with the lamps, those kerosene lamps, to make heat in the orange trees to try to save their crops. And then sometimes it happened like nights in a row, and the next day, they would, or week or so, a lot of them had a lot of damage, and they lost their crops. And that was their livelihood. It was bad for Florida, great for Brazil, because they had to buy orange juice because this is Orange County. But for you who don't know, before Orange County was Mosquito County. So there's too many mosquitoes, then a lot of oranges. Not now, maybe Universal County, or Disney County, not even orange. So now I understand. When I saw that blooming, and then I saw in winter dying. And there are people who lived off the oranges and the land, doing that for generations, many generations, doing only that, growing oranges. But you can't spend your life growing oranges and try to advance. So there was a time that they will have to do something else. Today, Orlando is probably one of the most modern towns in the world, with this automation, with all those great things. So we saw the dying oranges, and all those people losing their livelihood. They didn't lose, because those who sold the land to Disney or to Universal later on, they made a lot of money. They don't have to. They can eat orange anywhere they want. Hawaii, if they want. They have a lot of money. But it was also a transformation. It was bad for a period, but in the long run was good for everything. But it was a new wave of renewal, of new things coming. And the old had to die for the new to take its place. It's always like that. And it's always in our lives. And I am here today doing the work that I'm doing in the Spirit's movement, in my own personal growth that I work very hard for, my studies, the studies that I do, and the reason that I do them, my research, my writings and stuff. Now I understand that this is the fruit of my $200 in my pocket and my question: why is this happening to me? So we could stay here for a long time. So to make a long story short, so my answers were put in front of me in the form of books, in the form of people, in the form of some event that guided me to where I am today. And there is no other way that I would like to be. It was whole transformation, because the answer came in 2 words. Why is this happening to me? Cause and effect. 3. Put the end in the middle. Cause and effect. So I was living, doing things in a way that could not produce progress. Maybe it would produce temporarily, as it did, but there was a time, even a purpose to that would culminate in my losing everything, having nothing other than a few pieces of clothes, a Bible, and questions. Then we work hard enough, they will come. The answer will come and can set us in a new direction, in a whole new course of progress, of living better, if we're serious about that. And there's more. So we have here Herodotus, the father of history. He wrote something that is very beautiful and that is very true. Adversity has the effect of drawing out strength and qualities of a person that would have laid dormant in its absence. It's very important to understand this, of strength and qualities of a person that would have laid dormant, not learned anew. Why was it laid dormant? Because we cannot imagine the amount of knowledge that we have, the amount of wisdom that we have from and through all the lifetimes that we have lived. We cannot even imagine how old we are as spirits. We cannot imagine what we have been through, what we have learned from all the lower realms of existence, even from an atom. We progress through all those forms in nature, and we are here today as humans, as spirits. We are so powerful that there is nothing in our lives that we cannot do, no trouble that we cannot overcome, no thing that we cannot do if we put our minds into it. We have all that. We are so great. We are so wonderful that we would not for a moment be unhappy when we are faced by some kind of trouble or adversity, because all what we have been through. All these little things that happen to us here is peanuts. It's nothing. It's cherry pie compared to what we have been through in all other times. Maybe even being one of those piled among the corpses during the Black Plague or worse. We've been all through that. And today we're here because we worked so hard to be here. And everything that we have that makes us happy, we accomplished it. It's our own merit. We worked for it. So dormant because we already have it. Plato said that we don't learn anything new. We already know. We just remember things of the past. Remember things that are already stored in our subconscious or in our mental body. All knowledge that we have accumulated from many, many times, many, many lives, from times that we cannot even remember. Now, what can we learn during those times of trouble? Patience is one of the most important things that we are here to learn, that we also decide to learn, is to learn to be patient with us, with everybody, with drivers here. If you live in Miami, if you have driven in Miami, that's a very, very great place to learn patience when you drive. Faith, another thing. Unwavering faith. Faith that we can support whatever is happening. Faith that we can overcome whatever is happening. And faith that our lives is going to improve, is going to get better. The moment is going to get better. Perseverance, resilience, optimism, strength, finding new talents and qualities. And I should rephrase that. Awakening the talents and qualities that we already have. That was just waiting for that moment to be brought out. And by being brought up will make us much better to work with whatever adversity we're facing and come out victoriously. And we have from C.S. Lewis, he was a theologian, professor in England, and he says that hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Hardships. It's much more, obviously, it requires situations that are hard, that are difficult, especially those that we don't deal with it often, be it something like divorce or like the loss of a loved one that you love so much, a child, whatever. Financial loss, whatever things that you're not used to it. And that requires a strength of you that you have not had to use before. And sometimes those difficult times, they do prepare persons that were simple, persons that didn't have much expectation in life to do something better for their destiny, and even making a whole, or bringing a new era or new hopes for people. We have a lot of examples. Helen Keller, one of them. I don't know if you know her. But those situations, people were put in those situations, given a lot of problems and troubles, difficult situations to deal with. They are forced to deal with, or they have two ways, or two choices, always a choice. Give up or continue, face and improve and get better and make a difference. And by changing ourselves, by becoming better, or by being able to deal with situations or with these trials and tribulations that is going to be or is bound to visit us one time or another in our lives, it's not only good for us if we deal with them the way we should, with the strength, with faith, patience, perseverance, helps us and also serve as inspiration for people around us. We cannot imagine how many people, even if we don't know, are influenced but by what they see us doing, the way that we react to things, the way we deal with things. Sometimes we don't say anything, we don't have to say anything, but people are watching and people are learning. And in that way, we are serving. We are not only working on our own individual progress, improving ourselves, but we are helping other people improving themselves, teaching them lessons or silent lessons that could also be so important that could shape the future. We see that often too in teachers and in counselors and all that. So we are here in this life for this sole purpose of working hard for our own individual evolution. Nobody can work for us. The improvement that we make, the efforts that we make, we do to get better, to become better. It's our own work. We have obviously support, spiritual support from those spirits who took on the task of following us during this incarnation, helping us even if we don't know, even if we don't notice, with intuiting us to do things or to follow one path instead of another, for instance. And we also have those who share our lives with, our close family members. Some are very nice to be around, some are very challenging, but they all have a role in our own evolution, in their evolution. But in the end, it is us individually working for our own progress, our own evolution. And we are going to find here on earth all the lessons that we need to do. They will come to us. They will come to us. When they come to us, and when I was asking those questions, Then after a period when I read that question, 783, when a population does not progress quickly enough, something will happen. So I had my answer there too. I was not advancing or progressing quickly enough. So those things came. It was good because it worked. So now we're learning, and we come here to learn, and we have a doctrine that, to me, I studied many religions, and this is the only one that I can truly say that we find all the answers for what we're doing here, why we came here from, what is the meaning of suffering, where we go after this. We have all that. So we already know we have the tools. It is in our hands, and it is good for us. It is good for us. The more we improve, or the more we purify ourselves in this life, the better it is for us. The less we're going to suffer in the future, the happier we are going to live on life or on earth, for as happy as our physical life can afford. Later on, we're going to be then harvesting all the goods, the good deeds that we did. And we are for sure in our way to progress. Emmanuel, Spirit Emmanuel, he says that two wings will take us closer to perfection, closer to God. The wing of love and the wing of knowledge. And the Spirit of truth called us, spiritists, love one another. This is the first teaching. Learn, acquire knowledge, educate yourselves. That is the second. So by doing those two things every day in our lives, by loving, forgiving, asking forgiveness, and doing good, kindness as much as we can, and acquire some amount of knowledge, we are for certain on our way to progress. And we are going to be, by doing that, advancing quickly enough, and we don't have to go through all those moral or physical shocks that might hurt us more than we would like to. Thank you, and have a good night.